Welcome to Liverpool Report, your go-to for daily Liverpool FC news, transfers and match updates. If you're a true Red, hit subscribe and join the family. You'll never walk alone.
Liverpool are not done yet. After spending nearly $300 million this summer, the Reds are lining up a move for Crystal Palace star Marc Guehi. But there's a twist. Tottenham are ready to hijack the deal with Champions League football on offer. Can Liverpool pull off one more big signing, or will Spurs win the race? Let's dive into the full story. Liverpool are ready to continue their summer spending spree with a swoop for Marc Guehi. If Crystal Palace are willing to play ball and sell their star defender for under $50 million, the Reds will have spent close to $300 million once a deal for Hugo Ekitike is signed off later this week. The Frenchman will join Jeremy Frimpong, Florian Wirtz and Milos Kerkez through the door at Anfield as the Premier League champions bid to beef up their squad. Their interest in Guehi has been well documented, and Palace's bargaining position is not as strong as it once was, with the England star now inside the final year of his contract. However, rival interest in the centre-back services from Tottenham could pose a problem for Liverpool. Spurs have cash to spend and, crucially, would also be able to offer Guehi Champions League football this season. And while Liverpool may be seen as a more attractive option to Guehi given their exploits in the Premier League last term, the Reds are not willing to pay over the odds after splashing some serious cash already this summer. Mirror Football outlined on Monday that Liverpool will move for Guehi if they feel he is attainable for less than the $50 million Palace are likely to demand. But if Tottenham are willing to meet said price tag, then that would likely give them the edge in the race for Guehi's signature. This summer may well represent Palace's last chance to sell Guehi if he refuses to sign a contract extension. Alternatively, the player could choose to run his deal down and move on a free transfer next summer. As well as a central defender, Liverpool are likely to try and sign another attacker if Darwin Nunez and Luis Diaz depart before the firm September transfer deadline. Nunez is expected to move on, and Liverpool are happy to sell following the Uruguay international's poor 2024-25 campaign, particularly now that a deal for Ekitike has been agreed. It's a different story with Diaz. Liverpool want him to stay, but the Colombia star is understood to have told the club he wants to move this summer for a new challenge. Bayern Munich are expected to continue pursuing Diaz after seeing one bid for his services rejected already. Liverpool are tearing up the rulebook and the Bundesliga tax while they're at it. With over $230 million already spent on stars from Germany, Arne Slot is defying one of football's biggest transfer myths. Florian Wirtz and Jeremy Frimpong are in, and Hugo Ekitike could be next. But will this German revolution fire Liverpool to new heights, or prove that the so-called Bundesliga curse is still alive and well in the Premier League? Let's dive in. Liverpool have already broken from their long-held recruitment strategy in seismic fashion. Now they have an opportunity to disprove or embellish one of the transfer market's great myths as Arne Slot's team jet off on their pre-season tour of Asia. With Florian Wirtz and Jeremy Frimpong already in the door from Bayer Leverkusen, a reported $87 million offer for Eintracht Frankfurt goalscorer Hugo Ekitike could see their spend on players who spent last season in Germany total an eye-watering $233 million. Anfield regulars will already know quite a bit about that theory, and at Stamford Bridge it became known as the more alliterative Timo tax following Werner's travails. A quick scroll through the full list of arrivals and the expensive flops are quick to jump off the page. Jadon Sancho, Mahmoud Dahoud, Niklas Füllkrug, Orel Mangala, Marcel Sabitzer. You get the idea. Various analytical minds have produced fascinating data spreadsheets in recent seasons, arguing that the gap in quality between the leagues is between 12 and 17%. That suggests fees should be inflated and deflated accordingly, and makes it inevitable that accept the reality, as ever, is a bit more nuanced. And Liverpool in particular have signed well from the Bundesliga in recent years, with more success stories than flops. Since the start of this decade, Liverpool have signed 8 players from the Bundesliga, including Wirtz and Frimpong. 4 of the other 6 played a major role in last season's title win, while the other 2, Thiago Alcantara and Ozan Kabak, are no longer at the club. It would be remiss to ignore that Manchester City have also done rather well with deals for Erling Haaland, Kevin De Bruyne, Omar Marmoush, Leroy Sane. But the problem in 2025's era of more and more desperate social media hyperbole is that for Wirtz, Frimpong and more likely than not Ekitike, the pressure will be immediate. A slow start and the comparisons and catcalls will come. Liverpool's recruitment department will be chastised for overpaying on Bundesliga talent when everyone knows the majority can't hack the intensity of English football. The players will be told by anonymous accounts on X and Instagram that they should head back to the Ruhr or Bavaria. Do well and the Bundesliga tax argument will hopefully fall away quietly. Liverpool's £120 million interest in Alexander Isak just took a dramatic turn. The Newcastle striker was mysteriously absent from their 4-0 pre-season thrashing by Celtic, and Eddie Howe's post-match comments only added fuel to the fire. Isak has been sent home amid growing transfer speculation, and fans are now wondering, is a blockbuster move to Anfield on the horizon? With Hugo Ekitike also in the mix, the striker shake-up is getting serious. Let's dive into what Howe really said and what it could mean for Isak's future. Eddie Howe has attempted to clarify the situation around Alexander Isak after he missed Newcastle's pre-season friendly against Celtic on Saturday. Isak was conspicuous by his absence as Newcastle were thrashed 4-0 by the Scottish champions in Glasgow. The Swedish striker is the subject of transfer interest from Liverpool, with the Premier League champions mulling a £120 million bid earlier this week. They have since moved on to Hugo Ekitike, a player Newcastle saw a £70 million bid rejected for, and are confident of signing the Eintracht Frankfurt star. Nevertheless, there remains some doubt over the future of Isak at St James's Park, and fears were raised among fans on Saturday when Isak's name was absent from the squad to face Celtic. He was omitted alongside Joelinton, and Howe tried his best to quell speculation post-match, although he arguably only succeeded in fanning the flames. Newcastle said before the game that Isak was being left out to manage his minutes after the squad trained in Austria and before they jetted off to Singapore. But Howe's answer after the Celtic thrashing showed an ulterior motive. "I chose to send him home," he said. "The last thing Alex wants if he is not playing is to be sat in the stand and under that scrutiny. Then if he wasn't going to play today, we mutually agreed he shouldn't be here. It was my decision. He travelled back to Glasgow with us, but I decided to send him home due to the speculation around him." Both Joelinton and Isak are fit but not ready to play. Alex has trained and is fine, but we didn't want to take the risk with him. Howe said there had been no formal approach from Liverpool over a transfer for Isak, but revealed that he had spoken to the 25-year-old. "Yes, I've had discussions with him, but that's not abnormal," he added. "I respect a player's career and how short it is. Alex has been really good, he's trained really well, and I realise there'll be noise around him." One thing is clear, Newcastle are desperate to keep their star striker, who joined in a club record £63 million move from Real Sociedad in 2022. "We have a few of those players who are irreplaceable," Howe said. "Your top players are so hard to find, so hard to recruit, and so hard to develop. So when you have them, you need to treasure them. Of course, we're desperate to keep him as part of our team. I think it's difficult for me to ever give 100% clarity on any player. I'd never do that. All I can say is Alex is happy at Newcastle. He loves the players, the staff, the team. I've never had any issue with him, and I'm confident he's going to be here at the start of the season." It's another blow for Darwin Nunez, as Napoli complete the signing of Lorenzo Luca, effectively closing the door on a move for Liverpool's misfiring number 9. Nunez, once a record signing at Anfield, is now facing an uncertain future after falling out of favour under Arne Slot. With Napoli opting for a cheaper alternative and other clubs hesitant, Liverpool may be forced to take a major financial hit. Can Nunez revive his career elsewhere, or are the Reds stuck with a player their manager no longer trusts? Let's break it all down. Napoli have completed the signing of Lorenzo Luca from Udinese, which looks to have closed a possible Liverpool exit route for Darwin Nunez, who had been linked with the Italian side. The Serie A champions confirmed on Friday that they had landed the 25-year-old frontman, initially on loan, but with an obligation to buy. Antonio Conte had been looking to add more firepower to his side, but has not chosen to pursue Nunez. Signing Luca was a far cheaper alternative for Napoli, who also want to strengthen other areas of their squad. It leaves the Uruguayan, who was formerly Liverpool's record signing when he joined in 2022, with an even more uncertain summer ahead of him. His departure after 3 years at Anfield is expected, despite him playing and scoring in the recent pre-season win at Preston. Liverpool haven't been shy in pursing a new No. 9 and are in talks with Frankfurt to sign Hugo Ekitike in a deal potentially worth more than 80 million as Arne Slot eyes more firepower. It became apparent last term that the Dutchman wasn't sold on Nunez, who has consistently been let down by his finishing, which has meant he hasn't delivered on his fee. Any move to Napoli, though, now appears to be off the cards. Liverpool will have to take a financial hit on the money they spent to sign him from Benfica. Back in January, they rejected an offer from a club in Saudi Arabia, despite the player being open to a move to the Middle East, but a little over 6 months on, and finding a buyer has proved challenging. Nunez, who has scored 40 times across his 3 seasons, has been linked with clubs in Spain and Italy. Atletico Madrid too have been credited with interest, but are well stocked in attack and may not see the need to currently invest in the Uruguayan star. AC Milan are another potential destination, but would struggle to land him financially. Slot was very vocal in his criticism of Nunez last season after a draw at Aston Villa, where the forward missed a golden chance that would have won the game for Liverpool. He said, "I helped him by saying you can miss a chance. I wasn't only hard on him, but for the second time in a row, I wasn't happy with his work effort, against Wolves and against Villa. I can't accept if a player doesn't give everything. That is clear. I can accept it once, but twice was a bit too much. That's why I addressed it. If you miss a chance, you need to be fighting for the team. I'm not saying he didn't do that at all, but it wasn't the usual Darwin, the one that is loved by the fans. That is mainly because he always works so hard.